Everyone, especially sa mga sir. We are the Group 2. I'm Almira Apuya with my co-member Ando Kishin, Asilan Kenneth, Asal Franchi, Arcelia Jasmine. Topic is all about the Lumad Pass, the consequence of the Mindanao through settlement. Consequence of the Mindanao through settlement. The plight of the indigenous people of the Mindanao highlights the deep division within the Philippines, relieving the challenges of the imposed nation-state. The Filipino nation merged from the ashes of the Spanish colonialism, and the desire for the self-rule was shaped by the colonial experience, which lasted for almost 4 countries. The nation of foundation was rooted in the resistance against Spanish and later American rule, driven by the explosion and extraction of local resource for the foreign profit.
Ang pasabot niya, ang usa daw kabahin sa mga kasasayan sa Pilipinas is particular sa mga lakang sa gihimo sa mga gobyerno. Aron makontrol ang Mindanao, usa sa isla ang puno sa mga katutubong grupo sa mga Muslim. Ang komunidad nila, usa sa mga pamaagi ang gigamit mao ang pagpatuman sa mga resettlement program. Diin ang mga tawo nga gikan sa mga laing bahin sa may Pilipinas gisugyot nga mulalin og magpuyo sa mga Mindanao. Ang mahimong tawagon sa mga panakop sa Mindanao pinaagi sa resettlement. Ang pang-resettlement program igipagduluhan sa mga gobyerno aron madali ang pagsugod sa mga non-Muslim nga ang komunidad sa mga Mindanao nga mga resettle mao ang mga tawo nga gipamugtang sa mga bag-ong yuta ang gipang apod sa mga gobyerno. So kasagaran sila ang gikan sa mga lugar sa mga Luzon ug Visayas. Ang tumong nini ang mga paghatag og mga oportunidad, ang pagpaningbuhi apan dako usab ang epekto niini sa kultura sa mga kabtangan sa mga katutubong lumad og ang mga Muslim sa Mindanao. So ang panakop sa pinaagi sa resettlement daw sa sa una is ang pasabot sa pagdaog sa mga teritoryo sa ila ang mga teritoryo like katong ang giingon ni Sir Lask, like ang mga Badyaw daw kay tungod kay ang mga Badyaw is wala na sila sa ilang lugar because gipahawa sila, di ba? Sa Mindanao pinaagi sa mga control sa mga populasyon, sa mga yuta o giagkon sa mga bagong nanimuno. Kini usa sa mga komplikado sa issue sa kasaysayan sa Pilipinas sa mga nagdala og mga issue sa identity, cultural and relationship sa mga lumad sa migrante.
Hello everyone, I am Franchi Asal, so I will be discussing the continuation of the reporter number 3. So what was followed was a slew of colonial laws formalizing the resettlement program of the American colonial government. The Philippine Act number 2254, passed in 1913, appropriated funds for establishing agricultural colonies and plantations to cultivate rice and other food cereals, aiming for better population distribution and other purpose. So this act aimed to enhance rice production and improve the distribution of the population in the Philippines, particularly in the Cotabato Valley. Second is the Quirino Recto Colonization Act of 1935, formerly known as the Legislative Act number 4197, was significant piece of legislation in the Philippines that aimed to address settlement issues in the Mindanao of Sulu. Also, this act aimed to resolve the Mindanao peace and order problem and address agrarian unrest in Visayas and Luzon. The intention was not just to augment food production but also respond to another government concern, the agrarian unrest in Visayas and Luzon, where many of these landless homesteaders, by transplanting them from their places of origin, they can now have their own land land where they cannot have from the sugar barons and hacendados from the Visayas and Luzon. And there have been many resettlement programs after the Quirino Recto Colonization Act, involving the establishment of various government agencies such as the following. First is the National Land Settlement Administration of 1939. It is focused on distributing public lands to landless farmers and promoting agricultural development. So second is the Rice and Corn Production Administration of 1949. This is focused on increasing rice and corn production to address food security issues. So lastly, the Economic Development Corporation in early 1950 aimed to promoting industrial development and attracting foreign investment to the Philippines. That's all. Thank you.
The more effective in securing the economic resource of the whole region, more than any pacification campaign, was the pitting of people against each other in a proxy economic war. It was through relentless resettlement policy that saw a wave of migrants from Luzon and Visayas that brought with them the same imposed feudal arrangement that eventually opened up the Mindanao frontier to colonial economic exploitation and the transformation of the island's mode of production. The proxy economic war, which pitted people against one another, was more successful in obtaining region's economic resource compared to pacification campaign. This implies that traditional methods of maintaining peace and order were less effective in achieving economic goal. Relentless resettlement policy brought migrants from Luzon and Visayas to Mindanao. Those migrants brought with them feudal arrangement that opened up Mindanao to colonial economic exploitation. This led to a transformation of the island's mode of production. 100 years hence, we are still reeling from the consequences of the proxy economic war within our divided Mindanao from Lumads, Moro, and migrant, largely landless peasantry. Mindanao historian B. R. Rodel in 1994 put forward a strong statement in his assessment of the various colonial American and Philippine government resettlement policies to the island of Mindanao. He wrote that the immigration of people into Lumad and Moro ancestral domain took place in an unprecedented scale that is literally overturned the life of indigenous people. Through the number of people from formerly availed of the government resettlement program, what it did was to open the once sparsely populated Lumad and Moro areas to the spontaneous influx of migrants from Luzon and Visayas who followed their relative to those places. The result was the displacement of local indigenous population from areas where they derived their traditional means of livelihood. Rodel stated that the immigration of people into ancestral domain of Lumad and Moro was on unprecedented scales. This large-scale movement literally overturned the life of indigenous people. It distributed their established way of life in a profound manner. Although the number of people who directly participate in the government resettlement program was small, it has a significant indirect consequences. It served as a catalyst to open up the previous sparsely populated areas of Lumad and Moros. This led to a spontaneous influx of migrants from Luzon and Visayas. Those new arrivals will often follow their relatives who had already come through the resettlement program. Overall outcome of this influx was the displacement of the local indigenous population. They were forced out of the area where they had traditionally earned their livelihood. This upheaval has long-term negative impact in the economic and social fabric of the indigenous communities in Mindanao. Historically, it was a rice shortage in Sulu and Zamboanga from the period of 1911 to 1912, which prompted the American governor of the Moro Province, General John Pressing, to call for homesteaders from Luzon and Visayas who will be asked to plant much-needed cereal. There are accounts of American inciting Cebuano to migrate to the south by parading around the city a 13-feet tall cornstalk to prove the fertility of the soil in Mindanao. Interestingly, the Cebuano were also required to be skilled in arnis, a local martial arts which betrayed the participation of objectives of the resettlement program. 50 homesteaders were then deployed to the first agricultural colony established at the Cotabato Valley where Moro resistance was present. What followed was a slew of colonial law of formalizing the resettlement program of the American colonial government. Philippine Commission Act Number 2254, which was in 1913 to boost rice production, formally established agricultural colonies composed of migrants from Visayas and Luzon as the heart of central Mindanao, particularly Maguindanao, Cotabato Valley, and as far as Glan and southern part of Cotabato. After initial efforts related on resettlement program, a series of colonial law were put in place. The Philippine Commission Act Number 2254 in 1913. The main aim of this act was to boost rice production. To achieve this, it formally established agricultural colonies. Those colonies were made up of migrants from Visayas and Mindanao. They were settled in key areas of central Mindanao such as Maguindanao, Cotabato Valley. The reach of those colonies extended as far as Glan and the south of part of Cotabato. This is the colonial portraits of Mindanao's indigenous group were taken by Philippine Commission member and secretary to the Interior, Dean C. Worcester, during the period of American colonial occupation. He would later pioneer the establishment of ranches in province of Bukidnon together with Manuel Fortich Sr.
Moving on to the economic and political transformation of the Philippines. The economic and political transformation of the Philippines during the 19th and early 20th centuries was largely influenced by Spanish and American colonization. The Spanish imposed a feudal system in Luzon and the Visayas, while Mindanao remained relatively independent. However, American rule later led to the full integration of Mindanao into the national and global economy. Spanish economic transformation in Luzon and Visayas. During Spanish colonization, European and American trading houses were established, leading to the rise of a feudal system based on debt peonage and sharecropping. The traditional barangay-based economy was replaced by haciendas that produced surplus for international trade. This economic shift created a divide between the wealthy landed elite and landless peasants. Some industries, such as weaving in Iloilo, also saw the introduction of wage labor. During Spanish rule, European and American trading houses were established in Luzon and the Visayas, reinforcing feudal relations and debt-based labor systems. The traditional barangay-based